Macmillan Audio presents The Disciple of Las Vegas by Ian Hamilton. Read for you by Jennifer Ikeda. Chapter 1. When Ava Lee woke up, the first thing she felt was a sharp pain shooting through her neck and shoulder. She stretched, causing the pain to become more intense, and then slowly relaxed her muscles. She knew from experience that the lashing she had endured wasn't going to cause any long-term damage. She turned her head to look at the bedside clock. It was only 6 a.m. She had flown home to Toronto around midnight and had been in bed for less than 5 hours. She had thought that the 2 melatonin capsules and a glass of Pinot Grigio would see her through the night, but the pain and a mind that was still a jumble of emotions were gnawing at her. She lay quietly, hoping she could drift off again. After 10 minutes, she gave up and pulled herself out of bed. She kneeled to say a short prayer of thanks to St. Jude for her safe return, and then headed for the bathroom. Pulling off her black Giordano t-shirt, Ava turned so she could see her back in the mirror. The belt had hit her on the side of the neck and across her right shoulder, and then again on the same shoulder and partway down her back. The marks were a deep black and blue, yellowed at the edges. They looked worse than they felt, and in a few days they would start to fade. Ava went into the kitchen, made herself a Starbucks Via Ready Brew, and sat down at the small round table set against the window overlooking Cumberland Street and Avenue Road. She lived in the heart of Yorkville, the ritziest neighborhood in downtown Toronto. Despite the early hour, the traffic below was barely moving as the January weather tried to decide if it was raining or snowing. Normally she would have the Globe and Mail spread across the table, but she had been away for more than a week, traveling to Hong Kong, Thailand, Guyana, and the British Virgin Islands, tracking down and retrieving more than $5 million that had been stolen from a client, and had canceled the paper until further notice. So she opened up her laptop and turned it on to read the news online. That was a mistake. After she signed on, Ava opened her email program, expecting to see messages from friends, a bit of spam, and not much else. She froze when she saw Uncle's name in her inbox. Uncle was her Hong Kong-based partner, a man in his 70s whose idea of high-tech communication was a Chinese knockoff iPhone he had bought for less than $40 at the Kowloon nighttime street market and used strictly for making calls. He had sent her 2 messages in the past 8 hours. She couldn't remember receiving that many from him in the past year. She opened them. They were identical, simply stating that he needed her to call him. He didn't say it was urgent. He didn't have to. That he had sent 2 emails conveyed that fact well enough. Ava groaned, went over to her hot water thermos, and made another coffee. She knew what he wanted to talk about. While she was in Guyana, they had been offered a job by a Filipino-Chinese businessman named Tommy Ordonez. Ordonez was the wealthiest man in the islands. They had put him off so they could finish the job they were on. Ava had hoped he could be put off longer because that job had turned nasty with unforeseen complications. What was supposed to have been a straightforward tracking and retrieval of misappropriated funds had turned into extortion. She had prevailed, but not without difficulty, as the bruises and welts demonstrated, and not without stress, some of which still lingered. Ava had turned off her cell phone the night before and thrown it into the bottom of her purse. She had intended to leave it there for a few days, or at least until she felt her head was in the right place. She went to retrieve it and saw that Uncle had called as well. She sighed. She had to call him back. She couldn't ignore 2 emails and a phone message without insulting him. Insulting Uncle was something she had never done, and never wished to do. It was just past 6 in the evening in Hong Kong, and Ava knew she'd
Sample complete. Ready to continue?